911. Where's your emergency?
This is Paul Murdaugh at 4147 Moselle Road. I need the police to answer immediately. My wife and child have been shot badly.
Mr. Murdaugh, did you take this gun or any gun like it and blow your son's brains out on June 7th or any day or any time?
No, I did not.
Mr. Murdaugh, did you shoot a 300 blackout into her head, causing her death? Your wife Maggie's.
Mr. Griffin, I didn't shoot my wife or my son anytime.
Mr. Murdaugh, are you a family annihilator?
You mean like, did I shoot my wife and my son?
Yes.
No. Would never hurt Maggie Murdaugh. I would never hurt Paul Murdaugh. Under any circumstances.
Well, and it might not have been you. It might have been the monster you become.
Hey, welcome back to Exposed Scandalous Files of the Elite. I'm Jim Chapman, and before we get into today's episode, I want to give you some quick news on the quarterly gifts that we give our global celebrities through Patreon. Now, they're going to be going out October 1st, and y'all, I did not skimp a dime. These are some amazing, these might be the best quarterly gifts you ever got from any Patreon host. I'd like to think anyway. So October 1st, we're going to compile that list and start shipping out those quarterly gifts. You must be a patron global celebrity member on October 1st to qualify for these gifts. Now let's get into today's episode, and quickly I put out an APB on the Facebook page, and y'all, this Murdaugh case, the appeal, when I get to the appeal of this one, it's going to blow your mind. Absolutely blow your mind. So I put out that APB on Facebook and I said, look, do you want me to go through the whole case or just the appeal aspect of the case? And it was overwhelming. I would probably say 100 to 1, go through the whole case again. We want to hear it. So that's what I'm going to do for you. And excited to do it. I have over 2,000 documents. We spent a ton of money and resources getting original documents. So quickly, for those Patreon members, you will be getting PDF files, pictures, recordings, etc. from this actual case if you're a Patreon member. And we're going to get into it. In this first episode, we're titling Mallory Beach. So I'm starting with this one because this was a case that pretty much unraveled the Murdaugh family dynasty and set off a chain of events, the likes of which I could not believe. I was following this as it was unfolding in front of me, y'all. This whole thing unfolded in front of me in real time. I've been following this case for years, and it really all started with Mallory Beach.
Paul, what bridge is this?
911, where's your emergency?
We're in a boat crash on Arthur Street.
Connor's messed up bad. We can't find Mallory. Morgan's messed up bad. We can't find Mallory. Bro, you fucking smiling like it's fucking funny. Sit down. My fucking girlfriend's gone, bro. Do you think it's fucking funny? Hope this rock fucking hell.
Now, at the time of her death in a fatal boating accident in 2019, Mallory Beach was just 19 years old. She had graduated from Wade Hampton High School and worked at a clothing boutique in Beaufort, South Carolina. Her family said she had dreams of becoming an interior designer, and even a lot of friends said that she also had her eye on real estate. And Mallory Beach was popular. Everybody loved her, according to her aunt. She had many friends, had a boyfriend by the name of Anthony Cook. Y'all, she was absolutely just a beautiful young lady, gorgeous young lady, had her whole life ahead of her, very popular. On February 23rd of 2019, Mallory and Anthony Cook, who was her boyfriend, they planned to spend the night at a house party and an oyster roast on Pawkey Island with their friends. And that included Anthony's cousin by the name of Connor Cook and Connor's girlfriend, Miley Altman. Now, they decided to meet first at what was known as Murdaugh Island to them. It was basically a river property owned by the family of their friend, Paul Murdaugh. Now, since Paul and his then-girlfriend Morgan Doherty were also going to the party, the friends, they agreed that they would take Paul's family boat there. Now, since this incident occurred in the years following, a lot of people say that Paul knew that there would be cops all over the roads, and he was wanting to avoid that by going by boat to this party rather than getting on the road and driving because he knew they'd be drinking. So let me tell you real quick about Paul and his girlfriend, Morgan. Now, they had a pretty toxic relationship, to say the least. Paul was already, at the age of 19, according to his friends, a full-blown alcoholic, and he liked to hit Morgan, which, according to Morgan, his family knew about. Not exactly what you would call an upstanding member of society, even at that age, on the inside. Now, on the outside, you know, his dad was and family were multimillionaires and very powerful. But on the inside, he was really a spoiled little bitch, in my opinion. And this was a beautiful young lady, y'all. And look, Paul was not exactly Tom Cruise. I mean, he looked like Carrot Top, to be honest. And I say this because the fact that he was abusing this girl and treating her like shit, yet he had outkicked his coverage by a mile, you would think that he would have treated her like a princess. But again, he's a spoiled little bitch who felt like he was more of a man when he hit a woman. So on February 23rd of 2019, Paul, Connor, Anthony, Mallory, Morgan, and Miley were all underage, and they were drinking alcohol. And that was never disputed. There's video, there's photo evidence of this throughout that night. Now, earlier that day, surveillance cameras captured Paul Murdaugh purchasing alcohol at a local convenience store. And he used the ID of his older brother, Buster, to purchase that alcohol. Then, around 6:30 p.m., Anthony, Mallory, Paul, and his girlfriend Morgan and another couple, Connor and Miley, they get together at Murdaugh's family's river house. Murdaugh Island, right? The group then left by boat around 7 p.m. and they arrived at a house party where they spent several hours. Then around midnight, they leave that party. When they get back to the boat, Paul insists on driving to a bar in downtown Beaufort. Now, GPS records show that the group tied that boat up to the dock at that bar at 12:45 a.m. Paul and Connor, they go to the waterfront bar and they order 2 rounds of shots. Connor uses a fake ID to get in, and Paul uses his brother Buster's ID. The rest of the group, they remained outside waiting for them to return. So just after 1 a.m., Paul and Connor, they rejoin their friends and they head back to where the boat was docked. Now, by this point, according to both witnesses at the bar and other passengers of the boat, Paul was intoxicated and he was acting crazy. So they take off in the boat, and Paul, as drunk idiots do, he starts driving in circles. He's acting drunk, and he's actually getting pissed at his friends because they're all wanting to drive the boat. They're basically saying, dude, you've had way too much to drink. Why don't you let someone else drive? He refuses to do that, and he gets So pissed off, in fact, that when his own girlfriend spoke up and asked him to let someone else drive the boat, he spits on her, calls her a fucking whore, and then he hauls off and he smacks the piss out of her right in the face. Now, here's where I've got somewhat of an issue with the other guys on the boat. Let me tell you, if I'm on a boat and anyone hauls off and smacks a female in the face after they've already called them a fucking whore and spit on them, they're going for a swim right there, and I'm leaving them there. But they continued on down the water, and they're weaving, and Paul would leave the wheel. He'd go back to the wheel. You know, they're all arguing back and forth. You don't need to be driving. He gets pissed off and he basically just slams the accelerator in that thing, right? And at about 2:20 a.m., the boat crashes into what's known as Archer's Creek Bridge. Mallory was ejected from that boat and into the dark water. So Connor calls 911 and he begs for help. And here's what the actual 911 call sounded like, and the confusion afterward by officers who were frantically attempting to locate the crashed boat in the dark of night.
What bridge? Paul, what bridge is this? Oh, what?
911, where's your emergency? Hello? Police, fire, ambulance? Hello?
We're in a boat crash on Arthur Street.
Whereabouts on Archer Street?
In Archer Street, the only bridge on Archer Street.
Archer Street?
Archer's Creek.
Archer's Creek. Archer's Creek. Is it? Okay. What's going on?
It's by Paris Island.
Right. What's going on?
We're in a boat crash.
You know what kind of a
boat crash.
A boat? Did you say a boat crash?
A boat crash.
Okay, so you're at the dock? Hello, are you at the dock?
No, we just crashed in a boat.
Okay, are you in the water or are you?
We're in the boat.
Okay.
We have someone missing.
Okay. Hang on 1 second, okay?
I'm calling in reference to a boat crash. There's 6 people on board. They currently have 1 missing. All right, it's in Archer's Creek, which is right there off of Paris Island. There's a bridge on Paris Island. They're underneath it. They crashed into the bridge.
Alpha 29, dispatch.
29. 10-4. I'll be en route to the Bell Bridge. Can you also notify Port Royal and let PMO know as well?
Affirmative. We're making notifications.
Okay. Do you have a description of that person? It's 1 female. That's all the description I have of her right now.
EMS 1 respond to an accident with injuries. 50 Marina Drive Boulevard on Paris Island. Repeating. It's going to be a change in that location. They're on Malecon Drive, down right before you get to the traffic circle.
Copy.
County's on scene, Port Royal's on scene. Evidently, the girl was sitting on her boyfriend's lap when they hit the bridge at a high rate of speed, and now she's missing.
Which bridge did they hit? The one on the causeway?
Stand by, sir. They hit the actual Paris Island Bridge, right? We don't know. They're not. They just keep telling us they hit the bridge. 310 got on scene. He said the fog is pretty thick. At first, he couldn't even find who they were. Find them. Yeah.
So as you heard, it was very foggy. It's dark, but of course, police do eventually find the boat. Every passenger but Mallory is located, And so police start doing what police do. They get EMTs out there and they start trying to figure out what the fuck happened. So I'm going to play you the actual body cam audio from this incident. And then we're going to unpack it a little bit, because this is where, to me, what I would refer to as the Murdaugh privilege really plays out. Listen to this.
So far, copy advised EMS says the civilians are underneath the bridge still in the boat.
The most severe of the injured is on the boat underneath the bridge. They'll have to walk down to.
The most severe injured.
After y'all hit the bridge, did y'all beach the boat up there on the side of the thing, or did the boat, that's where it ended up?
That's where it ended up.
Okay. Y'all think y'all hit one of the markers that in the beginning of it? Sure. Okay.
Can I use your phone?
My phone?
Can I use your phone?
Hey, bro, I ain't got my phone on me, brother.
You ain't got your phone on you?
No, you dropped yours in the grass right back there.
That don't surprise me.
Okay. Hey, you been checked out by name, bro? Hey, buddy. You been checked out by name, bro?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Sure? I think we should still get checked out, right?
Yeah, I'm fine. I mean, shit, what's going on?
Hey, what's your last name, buddy?
Murdaugh.
M-U-R-D-A-U-G-H. Okay, what's your first name?
Paul.
Paul, P-A-U-L?
Shit.
Yeah.
But they fine, man. Hey.
We're looking right now for it. They're down there looking, okay?
But they got a good search on it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But they probably don't find it.
They didn't find it, okay?
Don't you think?
They're down there looking right now, okay?
You know they got a... That's a good search, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they got a good team down there looking for it, okay?
Hey, can I use your phone?
I don't have my phone on me, buddy.
Oh.
Here. Hey. Here, stay right here. I'm going to go get that one you dropped on the ground back there, all right?
Yes, sir.
Pick that up. You got it already? Yeah. Okay. So there were 6 total people in the boat. Okay. They hit, I think, one of the bridge pile, and where you see the boat is where it ended up.
Okay.
One of the young ladies got ejected. She still has not been found. Tide's going out, and we tried walking down the marsh for a little ways to find her. But the young lady down there, I think, is the most severe so far of the people that we have, the 5 that we have.
Okay. So we got 6 total, 5 accounted for.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Tide's going out, and they were running this way when they hit the bridge, so she probably got ejected, and the current carried her down that way.
I did find a county out of Hampton, a deal out of Hampton County for that.
I'm about to drive down there. I done been in the back of one of these. You're not going in no cuffs. Get in the car. Come on. I need you. Yes, come on. You're not going. You're not in trouble. I done told you that. If you're in trouble, I'll be putting you in cuffs right now. Mallory. Come on. Did they find Mallory? What? You're not. Just sit right here. I'm not closing the door. I'm gonna get you a cigarette. Sit right there. Sit right here. We got everybody coming out here. You're my concern, okay? I'm fine. No, you're not. Listen. Listen, Pete. I'm here for you. All right? Me and you, we're chilling. I understand you're upset. I ain't about to sit here and tell you to calm down, okay? But I'm gonna get you a cigarette.
I'm 14.
Fire, I think it brings their thermal out.
Come on, 14.
Listen, man, my mom works for Sled.
Okay, listen, that's cool. I done told you you're not in trouble.
Do you want to call that? I need to call her. I need to call her.
Go. You can go down there.
Is there a D-Long on the boat? A what? Elena? No. Huh? No, that's Elena DeLong from Ridgeland. It's not her. And that is her friend down there that's bleeding like hell. What's your mom's number? Mom, y'all need to come to Buford quick. We hit a bridge in the boat. Connor's fucked up. Connor's messed up bad. We can't find Mallory. Morgan's messed up bad. We can't find Mallory, Mom. Where we at?
We're at Paris Island.
Paris Island Bridge.
No, it's just tell you come to entrance to Paris Island, so you're going to miss it.
Paris Island. Entrance to Paris Island. Entrance to Paris Island. Yeah. I don't know, Mom. There's 50 cops out here. Everybody shit up. I said, there's 50 cops out here, and one of the cops was nice enough to let me call you. Mom, there's 50 cops here, Coast Guard, everything. We can't find Mallory. It's been 30 minutes, Mom. You probably need to call Mr. Hay or Mr. Phillip.
Alpha 14 is back.
Hey, there's one's injured on the boat all the way down there. I don't know if EMS knows all that, but
So
all
what
the way
DNR is
down.
loading now. They're giving an ETA of 20 minutes.
Hello? Hey, it's Lance Corporal Sheriff's Office. How you doing? Alright, right. Your son's not in trouble or anything right now. Like I said, he's very, he has a right to be shocked right now. Sitting on his lap. You probably do need to end up eventually coming down this way. If you don't have a problem with that, you probably don't need to ride. You told me you're in law enforcement? Okay. Alright, yes, man. We're here. Like I said, and I'll let you come see your son soon as you get here. I got him pretty much as calm as I can get him. I totally understand. So, me and him, I'll be hanging out with him the entire time, okay? Just Google Paris Island. Yeah, just Google Paris Island, the main entrance gate. We're around the main roads. One way in, one way out. You will not miss us. Just Google Paris Island. Yeah, the Marine Corps base. Like I said, coming through there. And we're soon to come through the little first gate. We're on the main road. You won't miss us.
You get that motherfucker right there away from me.
Yes, ma'am. We'll be here. You talking about that one with no shirt on? Hey, do not. I don't want you getting in no trouble. You hear me? Listen to me. Don't get in no trouble. You hear what I said? Mom's on the way. I told her I'm gonna keep listening.
Let me try to see.
I'm hanging with you to your mom too, okay?
That motherfucker ain't running the fucking prison.
You're not in trouble.
What rig you on, man? He ain't gonna get no fucking trouble.
Oh, yes.
Bro, you fucking smiling like it's fucking funny.
Sit down.
My fucking girlfriend's gone, bro. You think it's fucking funny?
Sit down.
Hope he's right fucking hell.
Sit down. Hey, somebody put him in the car. The one with the towel. Go ahead. Where's your cigarette at? Where's your cigarette? You need another one? Here. I ain't got a lot now. Don't waste them. Here. Smoke the cigarette, and I got you. He's going away. Don't even look at him. They're going to put him in the car. All right.
You know, about a month ago, a year ago, me and her got in a wreck together.
In a vehicle?
Yeah. And I thought she was dead, man. She was dead.
Said, how old are you?
She lived, dude. I'll be 21 in 3 days, man.
What about the driver of the boat? Is he 21?
No.
Has everybody on the boat's been drinking?
Yeah.
Especially the driver?
How big to drive that
But
fucking
the
boat.
driver, how much has he had to drink tonight?
Dude, I can tell you this much. We left, I don't even know where the fuck we were. We left and stopped fucking downtown Buford. And me and him about fought on the fucking dock because I told him not to go up there to that fucking bar that we needed to be going home.
Downtown? How are y'all drinking down there and none of y'all?
Hell, I wasn't. I stayed on the damn boat.
But he was drinking actually at the bar?
I reckon. I didn't go up there.
So y'all came from downtown through the creek, and that's when he was going way too fast?
So I don't even know. I finally got to the point I grabbed my girlfriend and put her in my lap in the bottom of the boat and was holding on with my eyes closed. The next thing I know, I'm in the fucking water and I can't find it, man.
Can you feel that heat in there?
Dude, I'm not cool.
I know. Well, if you are, your adrenaline's up. You can't feel it. Smoke a cigarette.
I haven't smoked a cigarette in 3 months.
Well, it's alright. Don't start, but it's okay to have one now.
Is anybody in the water looking for us?
Yes, we got MRO, we got DNR, fire department's got their boats in the water. Coast Guard is on the way with the chopper, and DNR's en route. Alright?
She's at the bottom of the river, man.
They're going to have a dive team. We got a dive team, we got a bunch of resources, okay? Regardless, like I told you, regardless of the outcome, we will find her. Alright? But you just got to keep faith that she's somewhere on the bank, or you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Where'd y'all put in at?
Chelsea Island.
Chelsea out of Kalawasa?
The only island on Chelsea.
Yeah.
Y'all know Alec Murdaugh?
Oh yeah, I know that name.
That's his son.
That's so driving the boat?
Good luck.
No matter who you know. Driver is the one with no clothes on, correct?
To be honest with you,
the one you were getting mad at back there. He was in his drawers.
he was the last one driving whenever I got down in the Florida boat and had on my girlfriend. Yes, sir.
Let me know if you need another cigarette, all right, Bubba?
This is my dude with the busted mouth eye.
He's still got clothes on, correct?
Yeah.
Alright, that's what, yeah. They're good. Everybody's good physical wise.
That's my first cut.
Okay, but I just wanted, we need to know exactly who's driving, and that's, you said that was the last one you saw, so that's what I told them, because his ass will be responsible, okay? You hear me? Don't worry about that. We're going to handle on that end, okay? Alright? So, sure.
Hey, I'm with Department of Natural Resources. Who was driving the boat?
Right, Cal 67.
The last time I grabbed my girlfriend and got down in the bottom of the boat, Paul was driving.
Paul was driving?
Yes, sir. I begged and begged and begged and begged to let me drive.
Uh-huh. And where were y'all coming from?
Paul.
Huh?
Paulky.
Paulky? Okay. And Paul was driving, not Connor?
If Connor was driving, it happened after I had done flipped
Battalion 1 with the fire department that's looking for DNR.
They were both sitting on the front seat.
You were laying in the front.
In the bottom, no, the back of the bottom of the boat.
Before you hit?
Yes.
Okay, and Paul and Connor were sitting on right behind the console?
Seat.
Yes.
I can get a
Okay,
better
I had done fought with both of them for 30 minutes about letting me drive, and both of them thought it was fucking funny.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna do everything we can to find her, okay? Appreciate it.
Yes.
So you hear a couple of things in that audio that are very important. And look, y'all, this is immediately following an accident, right? The facts are going to be remembered most right after the incident occurs. That's when you're going to have your best ability to recall what happened. So you hear Mallory Beach's boyfriend saying, "Bro, you're fucking smiling like it's fucking funny. My fucking girlfriend's gone, Bo. Do you think it's funny? I hope you rot in fucking hell." Now, you're only going to be saying that to the person that's actually driving the boat, right? Because that's the person you're obviously blaming for the wreck. You also heard the officer ask Mallory's boyfriend how much the driver had to drink, and he went into a spiel, said, I told him not to go up to that bar, that we needed to go home. He went anyway. Then the officer asked, "Were y'all drinking down there?" And he says, "Hell, I wasn't. I stayed on the damn boat, but he was drinking at the bar, I reckon." And then the nail in the coffin should have took place when the officer asked several times if Paul was driving to Mallory's boyfriend. And he says, "Yes, man. I begged and begged and begged him to let me drive." He even clarified it. And he said, okay, Paul was driving, not Connor. And Mallory's boyfriend said, if Connor was driving, it happened after I done flipped and laid down in the front of the boat. Which means, y'all, that there's no way Connor was driving. Now, that's enough right there to at least give somebody a sobriety test, right? But it gets better. I have the incident report from an officer, but I'm not going to read everything for you. What's really shocking is that the report, it's not what it said, but what it didn't say. Nothing in that report of field sobriety test being administered or breathalyzer test being administered. It's basically a bland report that says, a girl was missing and there was a boating accident. Now, during all this going on, Paul Murdaugh calls his granddad Randolph Murdaugh III. Now, notice he didn't call his dad Alex Murdaugh first. Shows the difference in respect that Paul had for his grandfather versus his father. And I will tell you my thoughts as to why later on in this series, but it's important. So one thing I have not mentioned was that during all this interaction with the police, Paul kept saying that Cotton Top, the nickname for Connor, was driving, which is why the officer in the body cam footage I played for you kept asking for clarification from other passengers in the boat as to who was driving. Now, the passengers were all transported to the hospital except for Mallory's boyfriend, Anthony, who said he wanted to stay behind, saying he was not going to leave without Mallory. And he actually spent days, y'all, not sleeping, no eating, just searching for her in that water. Connor was treated for a broken jaw, and Morgan's hand was badly injured. Now, according to hospital staff, Paul was uncooperative. Medical staff drew Paul's blood several hours after the crash, and his blood alcohol content was 0.24, which was 3 times over the legal limit. And y'all, this is several hours after the crash. He's still at 0.24. So I'm not going to go through all the depositions. They all pretty much say the same thing, just in a different way. But I'm going to cover one for you. And that is going to be Connor Cook's deposition. And I have a guest with me today, and that is Daniel Sparkplug Domain, who is a local voice actor and professional voice guy here in the area. He does everything from call drag races to all kinds of interesting stuff. This guy loves him some fast cars, right, Daniel?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. growing up street racing, drag racing a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe blew up a motor or two.
or two. That's right.
Maybe a few.
So he's going to help me out with this deposition. He's going to be playing the role of the attorney. I'm going to be playing the role of Connor Cook.
Did anyone ever tell Paul to stop the boat and take them to the dock to get off?
Yes, sir.
Who did?
Anthony and Mallory.
What did Paul say?
That it would be all right. We're fixing to make it home.
All right. Did you know how long it took to get from downtown to Archer's Creek?
I don't know exactly. I say we left probably 1:30, 1:25, so maybe 2 o'clock to Archer's Creek, maybe a little after.
Do you know about how long it normally takes?
10 minutes, 15 minutes. It's not that far. But with us arguing and stuff, it took us a little while.
Did anyone ever put on a life jacket?
No, sir.
Did anyone say, where are the life jackets?
No, sir.
That was never a consideration?
No, sir.
During this time that you all were driving from the day dock or from the new bridge towards Archer's Creek, were you still holding the light?
Yes, sir. But when I was holding the light, it wasn't like a constant shining of the light. It was every now and then shine the light.
Had you ever been with Paul before in the boat at night?
No, sir.
There's some indication that Paul started removing his clothes. Did he do that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Why would he do that?
I have no idea.
How much clothing did he remove?
I believe his shirt.
Has he been known to do that before?
Not that I know of. No, sir.
Not when he's intoxicated?
No, sir. I've never seen him strip all his clothes off.
It was pretty cool that night, wasn't it?
Yes, sir. It was cold.
He took his shirt off at what point in time?
I don't remember exactly what time it was.
Was it after the argument?
I believe so. I'm not sure, though.
Did you ever offer to drive?
No, sir.
Did Anthony ever offer to drive?
Yes, sir.
Is Anthony as familiar with the boat as you are?
No, sir.
Why did you not drive the boat?
Well, Paul's always been the one that wanted to drive the boat and would not let anyone else drive the boat. He told us it was his boat and no one could operate his boat like him, and no one is driving his effing boat.
Those were the words he used?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember getting into Archer's Creek?
Not exactly. No, sir.
Do you remember coming by Port Royal?
You mean out in the Sound?
Not Port Royal Sound, the Sands. Do you remember coming by the Sands?
Yes, sir.
And you all would have turned and taken a left to go into Archer's Creek?
Yes, sir.
Who was driving when you all came by the Sands?
Paul was.
How fast was he going?
I don't remember.
Was he planed off?
Yes, sir.
And you were standing where?
On the right side of the console.
Were you holding onto the console?
To the grab bar.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Paul was behind the wheel at that point in time?
Yes, sir.
After you passed the Sands, do you remember getting into Archer's Creek?
Now, no, sir. My memory is bad after going into the creek.
And do you remember, you don't know who was driving the boat then?
Yeah, Paul was.
You said your memory was bad. Do you remember who was driving the boat?
Yes, sir.
Okay, who was?
Paul.
Did you ever say you didn't remember who was driving the boat?
Yes, sir.
Well, when did you say that?
A bunch of times.
To the officers?
Yes, sir.
During their investigation?
Yes, sir.
All right. When did you decide that you remembered that Paul was driving the boat?
I knew the whole time that Paul was driving.
Why were you not up front with the officers?
Well, I was told, for one, by Alex Murdaugh that I didn't need to tell anyone who was driving.
And when were you told that?
At the hospital.
Did you speak to Mr. Murdaugh?
Yes, sir.
Where were you when you spoke with him?
In the hallway at the hospital.
Let's go back. Right before the impact, where were the people located on the boat just before the impact?
Same place I told you.
Okay.
Before.
So Morgan would have been front left?
Yes, sir.
Miley front right directly in front of you?
Yes, sir.
They were sitting on the bow?
No, sir. I think they were sitting on the live well in front of the console.
Okay. Have you ever talked with Miley about who was driving the boat?
No, sir.
Not since this accident?
Nope.
All right. And at that point in time, just prior to the impact, Anthony and Mallory were behind you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just before the impact, did anything happen with the boat?
What do you mean?
Did the boat take off, throttle up?
When the argument got done, Paul put it in the wind.
He planed it off?
Yeah, he was pissed. And everybody was ready to go home. So he hauled ass.
Do you remember, you said you were having trouble with your memory. Do you remember what happened when the boat hit the bridge, the pilings?
I remember waking up in the bottom of the boat. My girlfriend woke me up and asking me if I was all right. And Paul and Anthony in the water and Morgan screaming, her hand was bleeding.
Did anyone indicate how long you were unconscious?
No, sir.
After Mallory got you up, did you have any conversations with her about what happened?
You mean Miley?
Miley, I'm sorry.
She was making sure I was coming to and everybody was all right and try to calm everybody. And everybody was freaking out trying to find Mallory.
I understand you broke your jaw. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And I'm sorry, on the left side?
Yes, sir.
Is that scar what remains?
Yes, sir.
Were you able to talk?
It was hard, but I could talk. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, I understand you called 911. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Do you know how long after the impact that you called 911?
It was 5 minutes, maybe. It wasn't long.
Do you know whose phone you used to call?
I used my phone.
Your phone was working?
Yes, sir, at that time.
Where were you when you made the call? Were you down in the boat?
I started down in the boat, yes, sir. But Morgan was screaming so loud I had to walk to the top of the hill to hear the lady so she could hear me over Morgan screaming.
Right there on the bridge?
Yes, sir, away from Morgan.
Was there some problems getting 911 to the location?
Yes, sir.
What problems were you aware of?
She kept asking me where I was, and I kept telling her over and over, and she said she would say different places, and I'd say, no, Archer's Creek, the bridge, and it was just chaos, the whole conversation.
Going back to before the impact, was it Paul that pushed the throttle down?
Yes, sir.
You didn't push the throttle down?
No, sir.
Do you remember who pushed the throttle down?
Yes, sir.
After the impact, did you go to the hospital?
Yes, sir.
How did you get there?
Ambulance.
And while you were there, before the ambulance arrived, did the police arrive?
Yes, sir.
Did you have a conversation with the police?
I pretty much just told them that it was 6 of us and 1 was still missing.
All right. Did they ever tell you that they were videotaping you?
No, sir.
Did they ever put you in front of their car and talk to you?
No, sir.
Did they ever indicate that they had a body cam on you when they were having a conversation with you?
No, sir.
When they talked to you, did you indicate who was driving the boat?
No, sir.
Did they ask you who was driving the boat?
No, sir. Not that I remember.
Did they ask you about doing any field sobriety test?
No, sir.
Did they later ask you about sobriety tests?
No, sir. Everybody was just trying to find Mallory at this time.
Do you remember what time the boat impacted the bridge?
No, sir. Not the exact time. 2:30 something, wasn't it? I believe it was.
Very close to there, as I understand it.
Yes.
Do you know what time you got to the hospital?
No, sir.
And you went by ambulance, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you indicate to anybody how the accident happened on the way to the hospital?
No, sir.
The EMS personnel, did they ask you what happened?
No, sir.
They didn't ask for a history?
No, sir. They just wanted to know where I was hurting and stuff like that.
When you got to the hospital, did you walk in?
Yes, sir.
And Miley walked in with you?
Yes, sir.
And I understand Miley initially did not seek any treatment. Is that correct?
Right.
You, on the other hand, had your jaw. They admitted you to the emergency room, correct?
Yes, sir.
And I understand over the course of the time, they ultimately sent you to MUSC?
Yes, sir.
While you were at the hospital, you got checked in, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did they take a history from you about what happened?
They just asked about what happened, and I told them we got in a boat crash, and that was it.
Do you know how long you were at Beaufort Memorial Hospital?
No, sir.
They put you in a room in the emergency room, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And while you were there, who came in and talked to you?
Molly was in there with me. A whole bunch of people came in there. The nurse came in there. My parents were in there. Molly's parents came in there. Alex came in there. Paul came in there. It was a bunch of people in there.
Paul came into your room?
Yes, sir.
Paul Murdaugh?
Yes, sir.
He got out of his bed and came into your room?
Yes, sir.
Did you have a conversation with him?
No, sir.
Why did he come into your room? Do you know?
I guess they were trying to check on me. They were leaving.
They were leaving the hospital?
Yes, sir.
Did Mr. Alex come in before leaving just to check on you?
I don't remember that.
You said a minute ago he came in and you said you didn't have to talk to anybody.
No, that was in the hallway.
All right. When you initially arrived?
Yes, sir. When they took me to the x-ray machine or whatever you call it, he stopped me.
Were you on a gurney or were you walking?
What do you mean?
Like on the bed they roll?
No, sir. They put me in a wheelchair.
So you're in a wheelchair, correct?
Yes, sir.
You're going to get x-rays?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Alex, as you called him, came up to you.
Yes, sir. Stopped me in the hallway.
And told you what?
That everything was going to be all right. I just needed to keep my mouth shut and tell them I didn't know who was driving and that he got me.
What did you understand that to mean?
I guess don't say anything. I've never been in anything like this.
And did you then give a statement to law enforcement after that?
Yes, sir.
And that statement was given about 4 a.m. Is that correct?
I guess so.
This has been Bates stamped Parker's number 000705. Is that the statement you made?
Yes, sir.
All right. And in that statement, it says we were headed, or how about reading it to me?
We were headed down Archer's Creek, headed towards, does that say Broad River? I remember seeing the bridge, and that's about it.
All right. And the signature on this is signature of officer. Do you know who that is?
Austin Pritchard.
Do you know who that is?
Yes, sir. That's my dad.
So he witnessed your signature, right?
Yes, sir.
Is that your handwriting?
No, sir.
Do you know whose handwriting that is?
No, sir.
Do you know if it's Mr. Pritchard's handwriting?
I don't know that. No, sir.
Did you indicate that you couldn't write a statement and he would write it for you?
No, sir.
All right. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
And that's your father witnessing it for you?
Yes, sir.
Is that what you intended to tell the officer that night?
What do you mean?
That you didn't remember?
Yes, sir.
Seeing the bridge and that was about it?
Yes, sir.
Is that what you were doing, not saying who was driving?
Pretty much. Just not saying anything.
But that's not true. Is that correct? You knew more than that.
Yes, sir.
And you just didn't want to give them any more information than that.
Right.
Why not?
Because I was told not to.
Mr. Cook, you have a lawyer here today. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you have a lawyer before Mr. McCullough?
Yes, sir.
Who was that?
My first lawyer was, oh God, what was his name? Corey Fleming, I think is his name.
How did you come to retain Mr. Fleming?
Mr. Alec Murdaugh, Paul's dad, said that he would be the best one for me. Said he recommended him.
Okay. And after that, did you have any other lawyers in between?
Yes, sir.
Who was that?
Sam Bauer.
All right. Mr. Bauer is over on Hilton Head?
Yes, sir.
Hilton Head and Bluffton, I believe.
I believe. Yes, sir.
No other lawyers other than that. Now you have Mr. McCullough.
Yes, sir.
Did you ever hear Miley say while in the hospital that she did not know who was driving the boat?
No, sir.
Have you ever talked to her about who was driving the boat?
No, sir.
Did you ever speak to Michael Brock with the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources DNR?
I don't know who that is. No, sir. I don't know.
Okay. After you were transferred to MUSC, did a DNR agent come to your room?
Yes, sir.
Did he talk to you?
He attempted to, but I was laid up in the bed, drugged up, so I wasn't much of a conversation.
Okay. Did he ask you who was driving the boat?
I don't remember if he did. I would have told him I didn't know because that is what I was told to do.
Did you? So you would have had told him, I don't know. If he asked you the question who was driving the boat at the time of the collision, your answer was, I don't know.
Right.
And if he asked you who drove the boat prior to the collision? Prior, before.
I would have said Paul.
Okay. I'm going to show you a document that's Bates stamped Parker's 000, 706, and 707. And this is a conversation that Mr., I believe, Ladue, Ladue, indicated he had with you. I'm going to ask you to take a look at that and see if you remember having that conversation with him. Do you remember having that conversation with Agent Ladue?
Parts and pieces of it.
What parts do you remember?
I mean, I remember coming into the room and having a conversation with him, but the questions and answers and stuff, no, sir. I don't exactly remember all of them.
You remember him asking who was driving the boat?
Not exactly. No, sir.
But you don't deny your response have been, I don't know.
Yes, sir.
That's correct?
Yes, sir.
You remember you remember being asked where you all were coming from, and you indicated an oyster roast in Pocky Island?
Yes, sir. I'm sure.
And that was correct?
Yes, sir.
And you asked where all you were going, and you indicated Paul Murdaugh's house on Chicheezy?
Yes, sir.
And that's true. That's where you all were heading?
Yes, sir.
He also asked you, Connor, where did the accident happen? And you knew that it happened in Archer's Creek, correct?
Yes, sir.
He asked, what did you hit? And you told him, the bridge?
Yes, sir.
And those statements so far had been correct if you were asked those questions.
Right.
And then where was everybody sitting on the boat? Did you see that on the narrative?
Yes, sir.
And did you put everybody on the boat where they actually were?
Yes, sir.
And that was true?
Yes, sir.
And then the next question you were asked about who was driving the boat, and you responded, I don't know?
Yes, sir.
And the first time you didn't understand what the question was?
Yes, sir.
Was that a truthful answer?
No, sir.
Did you indicate to them that you all were going slow at the time of the impact?
It says I did.
Is that true?
I don't remember.
You don't remember giving that statement?
No, sir.
You remember saying that the GPS lied?
No, sir.
Was there a problem with the GPS to your knowledge?
To my knowledge? No, sir.
Okay. Did he ask how you broke your jaw? Do you remember that?
No, sir.
Do you know how you broke your jaw?
Yes, sir.
How?
The rod holder on the side of the console.
Which side?
The right side.
Did you ever put your hand on the throttle? Do you remember being asked that question?
No, sir. I don't remember that question, but no, sir, I did not.
You didn't put your hand on the throttle?
No, sir.
You didn't try to throttle it back?
No, sir.
You remember telling your mother that you were going slow because of the fog?
No, sir.
You don't remember telling your mother that the GPS lied?
No, sir.
And to the best of your knowledge, as you sit here, was there any problem with the GPS?
To the best of my knowledge, no, sir.
Do you remember having a phone conversation with a DNR agent while you were at MUSC?
No, sir.
You remember telling him you weren't talking to him. You had already given a statement and you weren't talking anymore?
No, sir.
Okay. How long were you at MUSC?
I don't exactly remember how long it was.
You went to surgery that day, correct?
I think it was the next day.
25th then?
I believe so.
So you spent at least one night at MUSC, right?
Yes, sir.
And then you went into surgery on the 25th and released the day of the surgery?
I believe so. I'm not positive.
Since the time of the accident, since you were released from the hospital, had you had any conversation with Miley about how the accident happened?
No, sir.
No conversation whatsoever?
No, sir.
Had you talked to Anthony about what happened?
No, sir.
What about Morgan?
No, sir.
What about Paul?
No, sir.
No conversations about what happened on that night?
No, sir.
All right. And you had no conversation whatsoever with Anthony, correct?
Correct.
Did you ever tell Anthony that you were not driving?
I mean, we all knew I wasn't driving.
Did you ever tell him that?
Not that I remember.
Do you remember telling him that you were concerned about the Murdaughs, about being in Hampton County?
I don't remember telling him that. No, sir.
So if Anthony made this statement that Connor told him he was not driving the boat, do you remember not having that conversation with Anthony?
Of telling him that I was not driving?
Yes, sir.
No, sir. I don't remember.
Did you also tell Anthony you were scared because of the Murdaughs are trying to pin it on him?
Yes, sir.
So you did have a conversation about the incident. Is that correct?
No, sir. Not necessarily a conversation.
What is your concern? You said that night you didn't remember who was driving. Is that right?
That's what I told him.
And then did you decide that you were not driving when you became concerned that someone was trying to pin this on you?
Say again?
Did you change your story when you found out someone was trying to pin it on you? Your words.
Yes, sir.
When you became a suspect?
Yes, sir. Trying to make it my fault.
Were you driving the boat?
No, sir.
If we go by the statement you gave on the night of the accident, you don't know who was driving the boat then, right?
That's what the statement says. Yes, sir.
Okay. Why were you scared to tell the truth?
Well, I was told not to. And being who they are, I was doing what I was told.
You were told not to tell the truth?
Yes.
So you decided not to?
Yes, sir.
Even though this was an investigation into this accident?
Yes, sir.
Where there was a girl missing?
Yes, sir.
And again, what made you scared?
Them being who they are.
Do you know of anything else or any incidents that would cause you concern?
Yes, sir.
What's that?
There's a couple of things that had happened in Hampton that I heard about.
What's that?
Well, one was said that Paul had pushed his housemate down the stairs and she died and nothing ever happened. And another one, there was something that Paul was supposedly involved with a guy, got found beat up in the middle of the road that they got out of.
Do you know who that guy was?
I can't remember his name. No, sir.
How long ago was that?
Year, 2 years, something like that. I'm not sure.
Anything else?
I mean, just anything they get in, they get out of. I've always been told that.
Have you ever been out with Paul since this incident?
No, sir.
You don't socialize with him at all?
No, sir.
Is he still a member of your Facebook or Snapchat group?
I don't know. I haven't seen his name popped up, so I don't know.
Did you ever tell, I know your cousin did, but did you ever tell any SLED agent that you were concerned about coming forward?
I don't believe I ever talked to a SLED agent.
What about a DNR agent?
No, sir. I don't remember.
Ever talk with a DNR agent other than the statement you gave on the night of the incident?
No, sir.
Do you know if your father ever talked to Mr. Murdaugh, Alex Murdaugh?
After?
Yes, sir.
After, not that I'm aware of.
What about before he witnessed your statement? Did he talk to Mr. Murdaugh?
I know he was calling him all the way to the hospital that night.
Did Paul ever use your phone the night of the accident?
No, sir. It died, actually.
When did it die?
On the phone with the, what do you call it, dispatch.
911 person?
911 person.
Okay. And at that time, did you then have to use someone else's phone to finish the call?
The 911 call?
Yes, sir.
No, I never called back to 911.
Did you ever use Miley's phone that night?
I don't think so.
Did Paul ever use your phone at any time after the accident?
No, it was dead.
Did Paul ever use Miley's phone after the accident?
I'm pretty sure he used the EMT, the lady in the ambulance, right?
Okay.
The lady in the ambulance, I used her phone to actually call my parents, and he used the same phone I did, or Miley's. I'm not positive which one he used.
Who did he call?
His granddad.
Did you hear that conversation?
Parts and pieces.
What did he say?
Well, he told him that we had been in a boat wreck and whatever, and he went on to say, I heard his granddad ask him who was driving, and he told his granddad that I was.
That you were driving?
Yeah.
You, Connor Cook?
Well, my nickname, Cotton Top.
Okay. So he was told, or you heard Paul say to his grandfather, that you were driving the boat, correct?
Yes, sir.
And after that, you gave a statement saying you did not know who was driving the boat. Is that correct?
Right.
So at the time you gave the statement, sounded like you knew somebody was going to blame you or somebody was going to point a finger at you.
Yes.
And you still gave that statement?
Yes, sir. That's what I was told to do.
What else did Paul say to his grandfather that you overheard?
I don't remember really anything other than that.
Were you concerned when he said Cotton Top was driving the boat?
Yes, sir.
What did you do in response to that?
Me and Miley looked at each other and was shaking our heads.
Did you call anyone other than your parents with the EMT's phone?
No, sir.
Did you use anybody else's phone to call anyone between the time of the accident and the time you went to MUSC?
No, sir. Not that I can remember.
Did your father ever tell you not to talk to law enforcement?
Not that I remember.
Did your father ever come into your hospital room and make some kind of a sign about not talking to anybody?
No, sir. Not that I can remember.
And I believe that Mr. Murdaugh told me that he could take care of this.
Yes, sir.
Is that what he told you?
Yes, sir.
Did he tell you that on more than one occasion?
I don't remember that.
The only time you remember is when you were in the chair going to x-rays?
Yes, that's the only time I talked to him.
Did you ever talk to Paul's grandfather?
No, sir.
Have you ever had any text messages with Paul since the accident?
Yes, sir.
About the accident?
No, sir. He texted me. It was when they were still looking for Mallory, and everybody was on the bridge, and he texted me and asked if everything was all right and asked if I was okay, and that was it.
Did you respond?
Yes, sir.
What did you tell him?
I just said I was fine.
Have you ever texted with Morgan since the accident?
Yes, sir.
What was the content of those texts?
Same thing. Everybody was just checking on everybody.
Did you ever text about the accident?
No, sir.
Did you ever text her about the incidents of the accidents?
What do you mean, incidents?
The fact that somebody might be trying to pin it on you.
No, sir.
Mr. Cook, do you blame Paul for this accident?
What do you mean by that?
The fact that the boat hit the pilings in Archer's Creek, do you blame Paul for that?
Yes, sir.
Do you take any responsibility for being in the boat knowing what you knew?
What do you mean by that?
Drinking in a boat?
Do I blame myself for that?
Do you take any responsibility for that?
No, sir.
And you deny that you were ever driving the boat that night?
Like saying I was not driving the boat?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You ever tell anybody at the hospital you are not sure who was driving the boat?
Yes, sir.
Who did you tell that to?
The DNR guy.
Anybody else?
No, sir. Not that I remember.
Did you ever try to take control of the boat while Paul was driving erratically?
No, sir.
You bought a 12-pack of Budweiser. Did anybody else drink that? If you know, you can answer. Do you know if anybody else drank any of your Budweisers?
No, sir.
Did you ever give anybody?
No, sir.
And you were intoxicated. Do you know how much you had to drink? You said 8 or 9 beers, right?
Yes, sir. Around. I don't know exactly how many.
And you would agree that you were intoxicated that night?
Legally, yes. Physically, no.
What do you mean physically you're not?
I could physically walk around fine.
Do you have any videos or of any of the instances of that night?
No, sir.
On your phone? Any Snapchats?
No, sir. They're the thing where it goes away.
I guess that's Instagram is the same way?
I didn't post on Instagram. Instagram stays.
Okay. Any text messages?
No, sir.
You've known Paul, you said, almost all your life, right?
Pretty much. Yes, sir.
How long have you known Mallory?
Even longer.
And if you've known him all your life, how do you know her even longer?
Sorry.
No, I understand.
Spend more time with Mallory. Put it that way.
Okay, all right.
Me and Mallory are better friends.
Okay, and I think I understood that. I just need you to explain a little bit. So you sort of grew up with Mallory and dated?
Yes, sir.
And she was dating your first cousin?
Correct.
You never dated Mallory?
No, sir.
As I understand, were you and Mallory in the same class?
Yes, sir.
Did she graduate from Wade Hampton?
Yes, sir.
She went to Carolina for a period of time?
Yes, sir.
Do you know how long she was there?
No, sir.
When this accident happened, she was not in Carolina, is that correct?
I don't think so. No, sir.
She was working at a store in Beaufort, retail therapy?
Yes, sir.
Do you know what her job there was?
No, sir.
Do you know what she was being paid or anything?
No, sir.
Did she ever talk to you about what she wanted to do?
I mean, she always wanted to get into that real estate or whatever. That's what she always said.
And do you know what in real estate?
Like redoing houses, selling houses. I guess you would call it flipping.
I use the term flipping.
Yes.
Is that your understanding?
Yes.
Okay. Was she doing any of that at the time?
No, sir.
She was just in the
store,
retail therapy?
Yes, sir.
How often would Mallory go out with y'all?
Every weekend, my girlfriend and her were like best friends.
Okay.
So pretty much, if I wasn't hanging out with my girlfriend, I was with Mallory or vice versa. She was always with me.
And was she a hunter too?
Yes.
You're a hunter?
Yes.
Is she a hunter?
Yes, sir.
Any other things that y'all would do together?
What do you mean?
Well, you hunt together, y'all. The term is hang out. I'm trying to figure out, what do you do when you hang out?
Just hang out, go bowling, go eat, do whatever.
Would you do that in Hampton or in Beaufort?
Beaufort and Bluffton.
Was it basically y'all go to Beaufort and Bluffton every weekend for dinner or movie or whatever?
We were just always hanging out, doing something.
Mr. Cook, I'm going to ask you a few more questions. I want to go back and talk a little bit about the boat. When y'all were on the boat or got on the boat that night, was there any other alcohol on the boat?
Not that I know of.
Do you know if there was any liquor on the boat?
Not that I know of.
Anthony has indicated he had 2 drinks of Crown Royal. Do you know where the Crown Royal came from?
No, sir.
Do you know if that was on the boat?
No, sir. I never saw it.
When you're at the oyster roast on Pocky Island, was the boat tied up at Gooding? I believe you said Larry Gooding's dock. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Were one of y'all on the boat the whole time or with the boat?
No, sir. Not the whole time. No.
Did you go back and forth over the course of the evening?
Yes, sir.
Did any other people go with you, other members of your party, the 6 in your party?
Not that I know of. I mean, it could have possibly. Yes, sir.
So could there have been other people to have access to the boat that you're unaware of?
Yes, sir.
Leading up to the time of the accident, you said that the boat went around in circles between the New Bridge and Archer's Creek. Is that what your memory was?
Yes, sir. Somewhere in there.
All right. And you said that, did the boat ever plane off after, or did the throttle just go down and the accident happened?
What do you mean by that?
I'm trying to figure out what speed y'all got up to. There was an argument, right?
Yes, sir.
Then Paul came back to the steering wheel, correct?
Yes, sir.
And at that point, then he drove there until the point of the impact?
Yes, sir.
Do you know where y'all were when he got behind the wheel?
Right in the front of the sands. I don't remember if it was that side of the big bridge or the Beaufort side, but it is in that big body of water.
When we talk about the big bridge.
By the sands.
Okay. The one that leads over to Paris Island?
No, that's the little one that goes to Paris Island.
Okay.
I can't remember where the big one is, where it goes, but there's a swing bridge and there's the next one.
Okay.
The sands.
That's what I call the new bridge by the Naval Hospital?
The big one.
The big one.
Yes.
So between the new bridge and the big bridge.
Somewhere in between there.
Okay. And as you got into Archer's Creek, do you remember getting into Archer's Creek?
Not really.
So do you know if the boat was planed off at that point in time?
I feel sure it was.
You said that you don't. Do you remember the impact?
Not really the impact. Only thing I really remember is waking up next to my girlfriend.
When I think you broke your jaw, right? What did you hit your jaw on?
The rod holders on the side of the console and probably the grab bar.
I forget there is a picture of the empty Bud Light can that was taken. Do you remember who was drinking Bud Light?
I don't think anybody was. It could have been old.
Were there old beer cans in there?
Possibly. I don't really remember.
And you said that you think you hit your chin on the rod holders where they were located. Were they on the console?
On the side of the console, yes, sir.
I would say port or starboard, but the left or right side?
The right side.
And that was the side you were standing on?
Yes, sir.
Is that the side you came to on the right side?
Yes, sir.
Did your parents know? Let me go back. After you came to, you said within about 5 minutes, you tried to call 911, correct?
Correct.
And you said you were having a difficult time connecting, so you had to go up on the bridge.
It wasn't a connection problem. I couldn't hear because Morgan was screaming, so I went up there.
Okay. So what was Morgan screaming?
She was just screaming because she was losing so much blood.
In her hand?
Her fingers.
All right. She wasn't screaming about the accident or anything. It was her pain?
Her pain. Yes, sir.
Did your parents know where you were going that night?
Yes, sir.
And they knew you were going to be there that night?
Yes, sir.
Do you know if Miley's parents knew that y'all were going to be at the Murdaugh River house that night?
I believe so.
And what about Mallory's parents? Do you know?
I believe so.
So everybody was well aware of where everybody was going.
Should be.
Did everybody know there was going to be drinking going on? To your knowledge?
To my knowledge, yes, sir.
I think that's all the questions I have there. Thank you.
So as you heard, Randolph Paul's granddad, and Alec Murdaugh, they showed up at the hospital, and Alec's telling everyone who would listen that Cotton Top was driving. And according to Cotton Top, Alec Murdaugh even approached him saying, "Don't worry about it. Don't say anything. We got you." Now, this is very influential family, y'all. Power can be very intimidating. Imagine the most powerful people in this town just absolutely taking over the entire situation. So the search is underway for Mallory. And get this, y'all, just to illustrate the power that this family had over law enforcement. Mallory Beach's mother shows up at the boat crash site just a couple of days after the incident. I mean, she's the mother. Her daughter's missing. She wanted to see the crash scene for her own eyes. So police stop her, as they should, and they say you can't go beyond the crime scene tape, etc. But about that time, as I guess luck would have it, Randolph Murdaugh and Maggie Murdaugh, which is Paul's mother, they show up and they walk right past the tape, and not one officer stops them. That speaks volumes to me. So investigators and volunteers using rescue boats, divers, helicopters, they spend 8 days searching for Mallory Beach. And on March 3rd of 2019, 2 volunteers find Mallory's body about 5 miles down the river from the crash scene. A month after the boat crash, Mallory's family files a wrongful death suit against members of the Murdaugh family, which allows them to depose the survivors. And that's how we got that deposition that we just played out for you. Had they not sued them, they couldn't depose them. If they can't depose them, there's nothing forcing the family at that point to discuss what happened. I get it. This was as much about getting to the bottom of what happened via deposition as it was getting some monetary compensation. So finally, on April 18th of 2019, on what would have been Mallory's 20th birthday, Paul Murdaugh was indicted and charged with 3 felony counts of boating under the influence, including causing the death of Mallory Beach and seriously injuring 2 other passengers. Paul pleaded not guilty to all of the charges and was out on bond awaiting trial. So what the fuck took so long? How does this kid not get charged on day 1 of this thing? Well, connections. The lead investigator assigned to the case was a guy by the name of Michael Brock, and he was very tight with the Murdaughs, as was Michael Thomas, another investigator assigned to the case. So tight, in fact, that he was known as John Marvin Murdaugh, who is Alec's brother and Paul's uncle. He was known as the best friend of John Marvin's. As a matter of fact, the night of the boat crash and the days that followed, John Marvin made 14 calls to Michael Thomas, the investigator, according to cell phone records that were obtained later on. And get this, law enforcement never called the Beach family to say their daughter was missing. They found out on the news the next day. One of the mothers at the hospital even suggested to the police that someone call the Beach family and asked if someone had, and was told by law enforcement they did not want to do it yet because then the family may show up at the crime scene and complicate things. That is disgusting, shocking, and as a parent, fuck you to whoever, whatever officer said that. You, sir, are an absolute piece of shit. Could you imagine? Your baby is missing and that asshole doesn't want to call you because he's scared you might show up and screw up the crime scene? That's crazy. And if you think you heard it all, you ain't heard nothing yet. We're going to pick up all of this in episode 2 of this series. And for Exposed, Scandalous Files of the Elite, I'm your host, Jim Chapman. Much love.